Hello, BookTube. I promise I'm not going to spam you with videos today like I did yesterday. It's hours later, much later in the day, and I got mail. And not just any mail, but an enormous package. and not just an enormous package, but an enormous package from one of you. This is a package from Bill Rutenberg of the Rutenberg Library, a great BookTube channel. It's a big, heavy box. I'm sure that he and I emailed about what's in here, but it's been a while, and I don't think I remember. It's huge and heavy. So I'm worried that Bill sent me one of his children because he forgot to poke air holes in the box. And Mark Richardson made that same mistake years ago, and that's why he's down to 3 kids. So I'm hoping that it's not. Let's see what we have here. Big heavy thing. It is, of course, fighting me, as boxes do, and I don't have scissors near here. That's terrible. But it's opened up. So let's see what we have. Oh, it's a bunch of stuff. It's a bunch of stuff. With a note. Oh, from the cornfields of Iowa. Bill Rutenberg. What do we... Okay, one of the things in here I know. I whined about it, and he actually sent it to me. Incredible. But then there's a bunch of other stuff. Oh my. Okay, so the first one, these are all Folio Societies. Folio Society editions. They're wonderful archival collector's editions, usually in boxes, usually in slipcases. Some of you may have seen on Bill Rutenberg's channel, relatively recently, he had a huge find of them. Someone saying, I've got a whole collection of these things, I don't want them anymore. Just basically take as many as you can. He took a whole bunch of them, and he sent me some of them. The first one is this great Folio Society of the Devil's Dictionary by Ambrose Beerus. I was just talking. See, this is what they look like. They come out of the slipcase. They've got these wonderful naked hardcovers, and usually they're illustrated as well. This will probably have the illustrations from the Devil's Dictionary. Look at these little things here. These little white... incredible. What was I going to say? These things are mighty expensive. They're mighty pricey, and they range all over the place in terms of, like, for instance, this is mass market size. Do I have a mass market nearby? No, I'm not prepared for this at all. I didn't know what was going to be in here. I'm trying to remember the point that I was going to make. I was working up to a point. Right, about Ambrose Beerus. Just the other day on this channel, not the other day, probably months ago, hundreds of videos ago, I was talking about the particular edition of the collected works of Ambrose Beerus that I want. It was a big white trade paperback here in the United States, probably 40 years ago. And I think the Devil's Dictionary was in that unabridged, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. But this is the work for which he is famous. And now I have this gorgeous little hardcover. Fantastic. Okay, I don't know where I'm going to put these things. There's a bunch of others in here. A Folio Society of the Miss Marple stories of Agatha Christie. How wonderful is a cup of tea? We just did March Mystery Madness, and one of the things we talked about was I did a read-along of 4 murder mysteries with David Murphy in an attempt to woo him back to BookTube. And one of the things we discussed was The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie. So what is this? This is just a bunch of Agatha Christie short stories. Son of a gun. Okay. Boy, I'm not going to know these all that well. I know a lot of the novels. This is the minimalist style of the illustrations in this volume. Incredible. Oh, man. I'm leading up to the piece de resistance. I knew that. I knew the big thing that we're going to finish up with. But first, let's do this next one. What is this? Oh, it's a volume of history. Oh, my. Oh, how lovely. I haven't read this in forever. This is The Normans by David Douglas, who did a great biography of Alfred the Great. Oh, look at how beautiful this is. Oh, my. What are the illustrations in this thing going to be? I wonder. Okay, all right. The illustrations in this thing are more traditional. They aren't scattered throughout the book. Instead, they're 2 insets of color photos that give you Norman locations, Norman blueprints, probably Norman artwork as well. There's some Norman coins for Jason Harrigan to resell. Oh, man. Oh, boy. End papers are Norman-related lands and maps and whatnot. So this came out in 1969. and I had, I don't remember what my old hardcover looked like. I had it forever and ever. If I remember correctly, I think it was at Folio Society who also did this in a box set with a bunch of other historical eras. I seem to remember that being true. See, the problem here is not really a problem, certainly not today, but the problem here is that I don't know these very well. I don't know them, for instance, anywhere near as well as, for instance, Mark Richardson, who has a whole collection of these things, because they always feel a little too good for me. I'm very hard on my books, and these feel like things that are meant to be displayed for a lifetime and handed on in relatively pristine condition to the next generation. And I don't have anything that's treated that way. So I'm going to have to make a mental note to be nice to these things. And that's going to be really hard with the last item in this box, because the last item in this box is something I'm going to want to dig my teeth into. I'm going to need a hydraulic press to get it up here to show you, but you will have already seen it on Bill Rutenberg's channel for this video. I'll link to his video about the Folio Society. This is Plutarch. Look at that. Incredible. Oh, just amazing. So what do these volumes look like? If I remember correctly, this is the Dryden translation. And, oh, there's Pericles, or Alcibiades, or whoever it is. And you will remember, when we talked about the Dryden translation, you'll remember from an earlier video here on this channel, my last Brattle book haul, I found the so-called Dryden translation of Ovid's Metamorphoses, and it's the same thing with the Dryden, where it's a collective endeavor, where Dryden's publisher, who was a freckle-faced card shop of a guy, knew perfectly well whose name would sell these volumes. And Dryden did some of the work, but he didn't. This isn't a one-person translation of all of Plutarch. This is the Parallel Lives of Plutarch, which is a huge work and a fantastic work from start to finish. And in Dryden's day, in the late 1600s, right at the turn of the century, you would have had, there was a strong case that could be made in the cafes and literary societies of the day that you wouldn't want a one-person translation of such a big work, that you would want it to be collaborative. But anyway, that's what this is. So what is commonly called the Dryden translation, which has lived forever. Let's see what we have here. Yes, this is the Dryden translation. It's edited by Arthur Hugh Clough, and it has an introduction by the historian Tom Holland. Fantastic. And illustrations by David Rooney. And the illustrations are beautiful. There's a cat in the background there. Just beautiful. So those run throughout here? Yes, they do. Look at that. Incredible. And instead of cramming everything into just one volume, they decide to just break them up. So what are we getting? I wonder, are they broken up just sequentially, or maybe in terms of some sort of theme? Okay, so for this one we have Theseus and Solon, Themistocles, Aristides, Simon, Pericles, Nicias, Alcibiades, Lysander. So we have a lot of famous Greeks in this one. Maybe that's the theme of this. And you notice on the table of contents, it gives you all of those lives, but then it says one of the appendices is the comparisons. Because that's originally what Plutarch did. He didn't write just a bunch of single biographies of famous people. He then compared them. He'd write a biography of a famous ancient Greek, a biography of a famous ancient Roman, and then he would write an essay comparing the two of them. And most translations, we treat Plutarch really poorly as a classical artist. Yes, I know that his original work is very long, but we hack it to pieces, and we always have. And I think that's a shame, just a tragedy. And almost certainly in almost any paperback edition of Plutarch, whether it's Dryden or anybody else that you find, the comparison essays are left out. Just left out. No one thinks anything of it. I don't get that. But what is the second volume? We have that looks like Alexander the Great on the cover there. What do we have? The Age of the Empire Builders. Oh my. Okay, Demosthenes, Alexander, Demetrius, Pyrrhus, Cleomenes. Okay, the Age of the Empire Builders. So volume 2 is still Greeks. I guess that means that volume 3 and volume 4 will be Romans. Let's take a look and see. So there's volume 3. Lovely thing. And you've still got the same crew here. Of course, they're going to reprint the... you still got David Rooney going all throughout here. I don't know these volumes at all, so I don't know if maybe they're just using his illustrations the same. See, I don't know if that's in any other volume. But who have we got here? I'm betting this will be ancient Rome. Like pre-Republican Rome. The title of this volume is From Kings to Consuls. Yeah, we have Romulus here, Coriolanus, Camillus, Marcellus, Fabius, Flaminius, all the way up to Sulla. So you get Marcus Cato, you get the brothers Gracchi, you get Marius, and then this volume ends in Sulla. Which means that the fourth and final volume will be everybody after that. It'll be the age of Julius Caesar, where these things get just fascinating, absolutely fascinating, and they have almost total name recognition. So we have Sertorius here, Lucullus, Crassus, Pompey, Caesar, Cato the Younger, Cicero, Brutus, Antony, Galba, and Otho. Incredible, just incredible. Okay, so a very leisurely. There's Pompey. There's someone just taking off a statue of his. Always does him a little bit of injustice. So this is going to be a very leisurely way to read Plutarch. This is not crammed into one volume. This is all just spread out over 4 beautiful volumes. And again, the appendices are in the back. The appendices have the comparisons. Man, oh man, okay, well, I don't know that I can manage a Steve pyramid of these things because they're mighty heavy. But that's what this was. This was a box of Folio Society editions all the way from Iowa, from the cornfields of Iowa. Oh, look at that. Incredible. Well, that was the only mail for today, but I think we can agree that was worth it. Thank you so much to Bill Rutenberg. Incredible. Well, I'm obviously going to read some Plutarch tonight. I don't know about the rest of it. Maybe dip into the Devil's Dictionary, or maybe a couple of Agatha Christie mysteries. Since it's always March Mystery Madness, a little part of your heart is always dedicated to mysteries. But I think the night is for Plutarch. The Dryden translation in a beautiful, durable edition. Incredible. All right, well, that was the mail. I couldn't let this go, not with a box this size. I'm glad I didn't. So I'm going to wrap this up. I will email Bill and thank him. I will see you all soon. Thank you, BookTube.